Hi, I have another unboxing. Very excited about this one, and I cheated. I already unboxed it, so my apologies. I just couldn't wait. You know how that happens sometimes. So it's a BOLDR, and it is a BOLDR Odyssey Meteor Bronze Black. And the reason I was so excited, it's a meteorite, and it's a particular meteorite which I'm going to badly mispronounce. So I will share the wording of it with you. So you can pronounce it better than me, I'm sure. Muon Ion Ulastra. I'm going to give up on that. Anyway, there you can see the name of the meteorite, and I can get into why I find that one particularly interesting, but it's just exciting to have a meteorite. So I actually didn't buy it from BOLDR. BOLDR's retail price is $740, and I found it cheaper on Sirius watches, so you might want to check them out. Came in a outer container, then had black paper crepe over the top of this with a black ribbon, very nicely done, which is not part of BOLDR. That was all Sirius watches. And then you've got the BOLDR box, and you can see this is a limited edition. It's number 23, which is actually engraved on the side of the watch. Great for showing off limited editions. I actually like that. Some people don't like having that kind of stuff on the watch on the side. I actually, well, if you got it, flaunt it, basically. I kind of like that. So it's a pretty good cardboard box if you ever need to send something back, and you get this really nice kind of rubbery, plasticky, I don't know, it's the same kind of stuff that travel cases are made from. There's probably the correct term for it. A little bit of a gimmick there, like a water or an air vent, I guess, so it can off gas. But it's going to be really robust, like those really hard travel cases you get these days that are some kind of plasticky hardback material. So a couple of clasps. It's kind of nice if you travel, but I tend to put my watches in a watch box. Nice foam padding, protect the watch. I don't remember if there was any warranty card. I assume there was, but I probably put that somewhere. Yes, paperwork probably. So it comes with two straps. It comes with a rubber strap and a very nice buckle. Not signed, but you got a logo on the buckle. So one thing I did notice with this strap, and also with the other strap that it comes on, which is a leather one, is that the tang on the buckle is very thick. Looks good, and you might like that, but if you're the kind of person like me who want to move the buckle onto a new strap, got a ton of watch straps, and that way you can change it around, I don't think that tang's going to fit through very many straps. You have to have some pretty wide openings, like the ones here. So not too happy about that, but I thought, well, okay, well then the other strap's going to be more of a normal one. Well, turns out the other one is also thick, maybe not as thick, but thicker than normal, which is nice. I mean, it's robust, and bronze is not maybe as strong as steel, but I'm not going to be able to move this onto another strap. However, I do have a number of third-party bronze straps you can pick up, so bronze buckles and tangs, you can pick them up pretty easily, AliExpress and elsewhere, so not a problem. So let's get the box out the way. I took the tag off already. No intention of selling this one. So it's heavy. That's the very first thing that came to my mind. I mean, yes, it's a tall watch. You can just tell by the really sturdy bronze bezel here, and it's thick. Well, I'll measure it in a minute. There's a more typically sized diver watch. It's a little bit thicker, so I'm guessing it's over 16 millimeters. There's probably some numbers, but in fact it says thickness is 14.2, so I would be surprised if it was under 16, but we'll measure it and we'll see. It's got a nice double dome sapphire crystal, anti-reflective coating. And I don't know if you can see in this light, if I angle it differently, we've got a lot of overhead lights here. You've got this striations, there's a technical term for those. I'm cheating, I'm looking it up. Widmanstatten pattern, which is the you can see a lot of very straight parallel lines in multiple directions, which is common for meteorite. And this is actually about this meteorite. I believe it's the world's oldest known meteorite, which is why I'm so excited about it. I'm sure some came down earlier, but in terms of ones that have been discovered, it landed about 1 million BC, and it's over 4.5 million years old. Has a large number of very rare minerals, which I'll link to the Wikipedia page where I've got my little cheat sheet here, and kind of came down sort of Finland, Sweden, Arctic Circle area. But one of them is extremely rare and only been seen in a couple of asteroids, which is Thishavite or something like that. So the fact that you've got rare minerals in this, and you're not paying too pretty a penny for it is nice. I mean, it's a talking point maybe, but I look at this watch and I know it's came from somewhere else. Initially, when I opened it up and put this on, it was in the house. It wasn't particularly bright, and I thought, oh, it's nice. It's a black dial. And I went out walking, and you get all these different. The light picks up on it differently when you're outdoors in the sunlight, and sometimes it's reflective and more like a charcoal color. Sometimes it's like a more metallic steel color, just depending what angle it's catching the light at. So it's actually a really nice dial, not just something that's different and interesting. In terms of looks, it's not going to be the same as a sunburst, but it's giving you something different, and I don't think you get that with this indoor light, so I'll try and take some outdoor photos, but you can certainly see the pattern. I like the old kind of yellow vintage loom on it. It's actually a really good loom job. I'll share a picture of that later on. There's only the pip on the bezel is loomed. Not my ideal bezel because you can't really read the numbers around the sides. It's not practical for diving, but let's be honest, how many of us use a diver watch for diving? Okay, some of you do, but the vast majority of you, including myself, do not. So you've got a few features that make you think, oh, it's a diving watch for sure, like the helium escape valve and the triple lock crown, and it's really well built, but I think this is all just for show. I mean, even the helium escape valve, that's kind of a gimmick a little bit. The only reason you want to use that is if you're going to be, pressurized air and living in some kind of habitat and you want to off gas or something. So I don't think it's something that the average person's ever going to want to use. Let's talk about the watch. Oh, it's a really nice thick strap, incredibly subtle. Really subtle. It's pre-distressed, which I don't like personally, but many people do. I mean, that's kind of the theme. The color kind of goes well with the bronze after it's aged a little bit. It arrived slightly aged. It's Cusinate CUSN8 bronze, which is a marine grade bronze. There are many different types, and this particular type tends to have the reputation for the best patina. When you read up on it, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, even a brass watch to some extent. And you can affect the patina with little tricks like sticking in a bag with a broken boiled egg, not touching but nearby, and it will go a brown color overnight within a few hours, or using vinegar and doing something similar. So, and some of them age more slowly, like if you get an aluminium bronze, there's a particular one that it's popular with a number of brands that takes longer to age. This one is already aging and getting a slight patina. I picked up some Cape Cod cloth so I can clean it, but these, I tend to prefer it a bit shinier. But these kind of bumps on the bezel, probably I'm going to have an issue cleaning around those. But so maybe it's going to have a little bit of an effect. So I might just let this age up. We'll see. So it's a really nice thick strap, very sturdy. The diver strap, you obviously wouldn't wear the leather strap for diving. Is it full grain? Does it say? It just says BOLDR Supply Company, Horween. Forgot to mention that. That's one of the. It's genuine leather. Oh, okay. So it's not full grain or even top grain, just genuine leather. But which is the lowest grade of real leather. However, Halloween is one of the very best tanneries or producers of leather. I think if I'm right, it's like, could be very wrong, and I'm going to correct myself in the comments, but I do believe it might be the oldest still operating one in the US, but they have an incredibly good reputation, so Halloween is a big plus. Now, this is incredibly heavy. I haven't weighed it, but the weight on this is much more than even the other tool watches that I have. And getting back to the straps, so you've got the Halloween one and you've got a leather one. Not a huge fan of the design of the leather. It's a rubber one. A huge fan of the rubber. Not a huge fan. It's a little bit bland looking. I know that you've got the nice to have. I'm seeing it more as a nice to have a spare clasp buckle, but again, I couldn't use that on anything else. So let's talk more about the watch on the inside in terms of features. So you've got a signed, well, you'd expect that anyway, a signed crown. I've seen this on my other BOLDR watches. This kind of vertical line makes, I don't know why, but it seems to make it easier to grip. So it's a screw down crown, unwinds and winds really easily. NH35 movement, NH35A, because there's a date nicely placed. Finally, I get to see a dive watch with the date at 6 o'clock. So I feel that's more balanced because I tend to use dive watches for their loom a lot at night. When I know what the time is during the night. I'm short-sighted. I don't wear glasses when I sleep. I can actually look at my watch here, and I hate the fact when you're missing a pip on the right because you've got the date there. This is much more nicely balanced, so I really like that feature. The crown, I already mentioned that. Sorry, the bezel is not stiff. Not perfectly easy to grip. I'm only able to grip it at the top bit. It would have been nice to have a bit more grip here, but stylistically it looks very good. So it's a little bit hard to grip, and that's even not wearing gloves. But the only issue I have, and this is more to do with the style, the design, is the white pip there. It's very hard to see where it is unless you pay careful attention when you're turning the bezel. So again, not too functional, but it looks really good. I mean, you're showing this off as pretty much a brass nut, huge brass nut with a watch in the middle. You've got this very nice, I guess, hexagonal shape to it. Instead of having lugs coming out on the whole feet, it's a little bit recessed just to keep the shape very hexagonal. Yeah, it's kind of a nice feature. I like that. Even though it's a little bit gimmicky, the escape valve, helium escape valve, mentioning it there, and triple lock crown. I mean, it's a little bit loud about that, but that's awesome if you like that kind of thing. But it's just the style of the watch. It's a tall watch, and it's a 500-meter diver, which is really nice. And on the back, you get a wonderful. I'll probably do photos of this because it's going to pick it up badly in the light. But you get a pretty wonderful. I don't even know what this is supposed to be, but maybe it's the meteor traveling through and planets and stars and things. But it seems pretty wonderful to actually have something different than just like the brand or a nautical theme or all the kind of things you normally have. It's a Meteorite watch, and to me this might represent something else, but to me it kind of gives me the impression of planets and a meteor speeding through the universe. So I actually kind of like it. Let's see, let's measure a few things and test a few things. Let's get this warmed up to test the sapphire glass. I always do that on all my watches. So I'll leave that to one side, and let's get the measurements out of the way for everyone. Let's see. Now I'm left-handed, so I always have this issue. I measure it like this and you can't see. So let's try and measure this right-handed for a change. Maybe pick up a new habit for my reviews here. So including the dome of the crown, it's, yeah, I was right. And I don't believe the 14 for a second there. It's definitely over 14. It's 16.4 including the dome of the crown, or 16.1. I'm tightening it and moving it around a bit. So it's over 16.0. So there we go. The documentation on Boulder site says the thickness is 14.2 millimeters. Possibly that crown might be sticking up 2 millimeters, but I sincerely doubt that. So this is really a 16 millimeter watch, which is kind of at the limit if you're going to want to wear a shirt with a cuff or long sleeve shirts, if that bothers you. Back to doing it left-handed. Got to learn to do this right-handed here. So it's kind of hard to measure the case width because I don't want to include the sides, and it's hexagonal. So I just randomly pick these two sides. 46.2. Now it's going to be more at the corners perhaps, but we'll just say it's 46.2. And what are they claiming this as? They're claiming a 45.5. So let's make sure this is accurately reset at 0. Yes, it was. So I'm getting 46. Let's try a different angle here. 45.8. Certainly more than 45.5. 45.9. So we'll call this 46 with a height of 16, or maybe fractionally over 16. So certainly it's a large watch. Now I'm not really trusting the lug-to-lug length if the other numbers are off, but let's just take a look. I like to go from where the pins are, and unfortunately I can't quite see them, so I'm going to guess here. The center of the spring bars. I'm guessing that's about there, just by looking at the strap. 49.5. Though that's pretty decent, because everyone normally worries about, it's 44, it's 46. The width on your wrist is important for the overall look. But what's really important on your wrist is the height, the lug-to-lug one, because if it's too high, or too long, if it's more than a certain difference, a certain gap is exceeded, it's going to be too big for your wrist to fit on a strap. So even more important than 44 is more of an indication, because you could have a 46 watch with a 48 lug-to-lug, and you could have a 46 watch with a 52 lug-to-lug, and the 52 is going to look much bigger. So lug-to-lug's important. I do know that already this should be a 22 millimeter strap. I'm actually on, it's because I'm on the thread. Yeah, 22.5. So it's basically a 22 millimeter strap. And then the thickness of this, which I might as well measure, 3.8. That's not too bad. Let's randomly pick a different part of the strap here. 4.1 there. Oh, didn't measure it at the end. 4.2. Yeah. So it's going to vary because it's a natural leather strap. But it's 3.8, 4.2. You get an idea. It's 4 millimeter strap or just under. So it's nice and thick, and it is definitely very supple. The finishing is natural on this side. It hasn't been covered in something, so I don't know. I mean, the reason I like to wear divers, not because I'm going to go diving, but because there can be a potential issue with rain or banging it around or doing some work. This strap probably wouldn't be too good if you're going to be sweaty or rainy. When I feel that the grain is just unfinished on the back. But that's okay. It's a standard size strap and one that you can easily replace with another. And of course you have the rubber strap too. So let's do the sapphire glass test. Here we go. So if it doesn't light up at all, it's not sapphire glass. And if it lights up a few bars, it is sapphire glass. Normally it lights up 3 or 4 for sapphire. 3 bars, okay. Well, it's sapphire glass. 4 bars there, 4 and a bit there, 4, could be some dirt, 4. Yep, it's sapphire glass. I mean, it would be like 0 bars, no difference at all if it was mineral glass. So I had no doubt about that, of course. BOLDR have been around for a while. They've done a number of watches. In fact, my watch winder's spinning away here, probably making some noise, but I have another BOLDR watch here. I'm just going to reach for... I've got the case open. See if I can grab it. It's because it's actually on the winder right now. Case closed. Okay, so yep, there it is. So this is my other BOLDR. So this one's a brass, so you can see the difference. They probably aged about the same. And this one's a bronze. This one's much lighter, and actually quite a bit thinner too. So I kind of like this one. I've already done a review of that. I can link to that if you're interested. So they have a number of different watches, and obviously I've got a couple with a brown theme here, but I have other bronze watches too that are different colors and green and whatever. But this is my very first Meteorite dial, so I was just real excited. Hope you don't mind me sharing that with you. Overall, I think it's an awesome watch. Probably talking about prices, $740. I would not pay $740 for any watch with an NH35 movement. So I'm sorry, BOLDR, but no way in hell. Or when hell freezes over, I still wouldn't do it. So even though, yes, it's going to cost more for Cousinate, not that much more, and it's certainly going to cost more for a Meteorite dial. They're usually about to add on extra $100 retail price, no matter what the brand is. So if you go for the really cheap NH35 watches that are good quality, sapphire glass on Kickstarter, super early bird, or on pre-orders, and you find a good deal, you can be paying about $200. Some nice ones, $220, $230. So, a price $350 is probably pushing it for an NH35, but it's a 500-meter water diver, okay, and then you've got marine grade bronze, okay, so I would pay $350 for that, and then maybe $450 for the Meteorite. If it was me, that would probably be my limit. So under $500, I'd be happy with this. Maybe not too happy, but reasonably happy. And under $400, I'd be ecstatic. So that's probably the price point I'm at. And I can't remember the exact price on Cirrus watches, but their prices were definitely lower for the exact same watch. Oh, I didn't show the serial number. It's actually a little bit hidden, so it's a little more subtle. You've got the serial number on the side here. Out of a total number of 250. I don't know if that's 250 per colorway or 250 in the entire series, but I'm not complaining about that. It's nice to have a number there. So, so Cirrus watches, they were priced much cheaper. Their pre-tax price, if you're not in Europe, because they're in Europe, is actually very decent. So don't look at the main price, look at the small print for the pre-tax price. If you're going to ship to the US or somewhere like that, the odds are that you can also get a discount without getting into details. If there's a group of you buying, you can probably negotiate a discount, let's put it that way. So I think the price I pay for this, if it was under $500, I'd be really happy with that, and I think you can probably beat that price with Cirrus watches. I don't know about other dealers. There are probably other ones. The only reason I'm picking them, not because they're necessarily the best deal, but because they start to stock a lot of Microbrand watches that you don't normally get on the grey importer sites. So they seem to specialize in Microbrands. You've got BOLDR and a ton of other brands on there too, which you get to see on Kickstarter and elsewhere. So I often check them out, and sometimes you can get some really good deals there. So I would definitely recommend checking them out. There are other color options on this. You can get a stainless steel with a Meteorite, and obviously you can get some colorways without Meteorite. But this is the one I went for, and I'm absolutely happy about it. And I've been wearing it. I actually got this 2 days ago and been wearing it every day, all day long. It's a little too heavy for me to want to wear if I go to sleep, so I switch. Actually, it's nighttime here. I'm switching to this one. It's got some nice lume on that, as it's a sandwich. It's always a little bit better than printed indices loom. Oh, that's another thing about this. It is a printed index. It's not actually printed indices. It's not actually applied, but it's pretty thick. So the loom job's actually fairly decent, and it semi looks like a applied index, which applied indices, which is something I particularly like. So even though I don't normally go for painted, I actually don't mind it in this one, and I probably haven't even noticed it because I just keep looking at that dial. It's just awesome, the Meteorite. So I'm really happy with this, and if you're interested in one and have any questions, feel free to come into a Facebook group that I run, Kickstarter Watches and Horology Microbrands. I think we've got almost 7,000 members now. And, just ping us in there, ask your questions. A number of other people in the group have also bought boulders. I think I'm the first one to get this particular combination of bronze, marine grade bronze, and meteorite. But, you got, I think, one person in the admin team purchased 4 watches. His family liked them so much. He bought one, and they said, I really like that. And then he ended up buying 3 more for the rest of his family. So, I guess a family of watch fanatics. I think I'm the only watch fanatic in this family, and my wife does a great job putting up with me. So I just think that's a new one for me. A whole family getting one of these watches each, and this is probably not the typical watch that everyone will go for, because it's certainly a chunky watch. So think meaty, think weighty. I haven't got a scale here, but this is the heaviest watch out of any watch in my collection. Not necessarily the biggest, and I have some other thicker watches than this, but it's really well built, which is good. If you wear straps loose on your wrist, that will be a problem because it is top heavy. So keep that in mind when considering this watch. And I think that's just about it. I hope you enjoyed the review, and again, feel free to let me know if you've got any questions. Thanks a lot. Take care.